If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Perdue.
Hey, come on. It's time for us to get started, get some motivation and inspiration, get some challenges out of the way. Use this podcast again to grab somebody's gold nugget that you really like. Get about 3 or 4 of them if you can, but get one good one to help you get through your next challenge, difficulty, hardship in life, and pay it forward. Pass it on. Don't take it to the grave with you. It's no good to take it to the grave. Share it. Help someone else that can use the information. All right. Today, our guest is going to be an advocate for their child. Okay. I don't have any children. I used to have a dog. Sadly, I had to put him down a year ago. Got a cat, but I can be an advocate for them if need to. So, but hospital stay didn't go quite what they expected, and she did the mama bear thing and took care of her son. All right, welcome to the show. Push his button again. Reasa.
Hi, how are you?
Doing all right. Thank you for asking. How about you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're going to be able to share some information, some of your experience, some of your story is going to your journey to help someone else in the future. Appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Pretty much going to let you be the star of the show, take over, and you just put us in where we need to start, and we'll go from there.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So, we live right outside of Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we have a now 13-year-old, but at the time in December of 23, he was 11, and the second week or so of December, he got sent home from school with the flu. So we went to our local community hospital, which is Methodist of Southlake. So we go and we get him hydrated and get some medication and we go home. A few days later, he starts feeling better, so much that we went to volunteer and do some other stuff. And then on the 22nd, he started regressing a lot, 21st, 22nd, somewhere in there. Started regressing a lot. So we were sick, then we got a little bit better, and now he could barely walk. He was complaining of, body aches and things like that. And so on the 23rd, we went back to the hospital, to the same hospital, and we go in and we have to wheel him in a wheelchair. And we're there, and at the time, I really didn't think a lot of it, but the doctor kind of stood at the entry of the door with the mask on and just asked us a few questions. And that was the only time we saw her through the visit. So the nurse came in and did labs. She did an EKG. They did a chest X-ray, and comes back, and Nicholas, she asked him if he could give her a urine sample. And he said, I can't pee. And so I asked her, I said, hey, can we at least know his labs are good? And I felt she was a little irritated. So she said, I'll go talk to the doctor and I'll come back. So she goes, and then she comes back and she said, everything's fine. It's just viral. We're going to send him home.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so everything's fine. Everything's fine. Okay. So we leave in under 2 hours and we go home. So we go home that afternoon. The next day is Christmas Eve. Our oldest son comes home from school. He was 21, 22 at the time. And our 11-year-old just is sleeping the entire time. We're, going up, trying to hydrate him, keep him, kind of plugged in, checking on him.
Yeah.
He's still not feeling well. So Christmas morning, I don't know, maybe 5 a.m. or so, our oldest son is like, I have to wake him up. And I'm like, he doesn't feel well. Let him sleep. He's like, no, I want to, one, open my gifts, but two, my gut tells me I need to wake him up.
Yeah.
So finally we said, that's fine. And we tried to get our 11-year-old, who at the time was right about 5'10", 180 something pounds, big old boy. We try to get him down the stairs, and we're having to help him. So we get him down, and we're trying to feed him because the doctor told us it's a virus, everything's good. So we're thinking you just need to eat.
Yeah.
And he's still telling me from 2 days before till then that, he's feeling kind of dizzy, real weak. His arm and stuff is hurting, his shoulder. And because he tells me he's dizzy again, I said, well, let's take your blood pressure. I'm not a doctor, but I knowledge, right? So we take his blood pressure, and it was so low, I thought the machine was broken. So I'm trying to put new batteries in it, and I turn and look at him, and he's yellow. And I asked my husband, I was like, am I seeing things? And he said, no. So we called our pediatrician at home, and I said, I don't know if I'm crazy or there's something wrong, but he looks really gray and yellow. I mean, it was just a very off color.
Yeah.
And she said, take him to Cook's now and don't stop. And Cook's is our big pediatric hospital here in Texas, in DFW. So we go, and my husband pulls us up to the ER door, and we get the wheelchair. And so my 11-year-old says, promise me you're not going to leave me. And I'm like, I'm not leaving until you leave. And, as a parent with a son that's never been sick, we're like, well, not ever been sick, but
Yeah.
that sick, right? I thought, we're going to be here for a couple hours, maybe overnight, and then we'll be home. So we get in the door, and they start taking vitals, and they look at me and they said, we're activating sepsis protocol. And like, it seemed like 100 people, but it was probably more like 10 or 15.
Oh, yeah.
Healthcare professionals come in, and they just start taking over. And I'm still not computing at this time how sick he is.
Yeah.
And so they're working on him. And after maybe an hour or two, they tell us we're going to the ICU. I said, okay. So we get into the ICU, and of course, some of these days start to blur together, but this is what started 34 days of being in the hospital. And we went through everything from Nicholas vomiting a pint of blood to being put on a ventilator to multiple surgeries.
Wow.
And there was at one point where, he said, I'm going to do see Jesus as lamb. And I was like, not today. And he would tell me it's okay if I die. And those things just kind of really sat with me. But probably on day, I don't know, 10 or 12, the things had finally not really settled down because every day was an adventure. But I needed to understand what happened. How did we go from 2 days before we have a virus to we've been on a ventilator, we're having surgeries, we've been in the hospital at this point, 10, 12 days.
Yeah, the life threatening. Yeah.
Yes. And so because they didn't think he was going to make it. They had asked us a couple of times if we were ready for a priest to come in, and no one really expected him to make it because Nicholas went into septic shock. And he had strep A in his blood. And so what our parents would have called a blood infection, right? And so it almost killed him. And there's not a lot of children that survive. So as I'm trying to understand what happened, how did we miss this 2 days before? I asked one of the doctors, I was like, I need you to help me understand. Help me understand, how did we go from we're at the ER on the 23rd she tells us it's a virus, and we go home, and then we're on a ventilator, and he says he was never okay on the 23rd. And I said, come again? Like, help me
What?
understand.
Okay. Wow.
And so um, he showed me the labs, the EKG, and his vitals from the 23rd.
Okay.
And because I had not looked at them, just because, coming home from the hospital the first time, or the second time rather, we didn't look at him. It was Christmas, and they told
So
us it was a virus. We trusted.
he's showing you what they didn't tell you.
Yeah. So they told us everything. The labs were
Yeah.
normal.
Just a viral and
Yeah.
things. So they didn't give you or whatever. They weren't
Yeah.
upfront with what they should have been
She
for
all outlined.
whatever
Yes.
reason. Yeah. Okay.
So his kidneys were failing. He was in stage 3 kidney failure at that time. Um, he had his heart was already beating abnormally. His liver enzymes were up, and his bilirubin was high, and his blood pressure was low, and his respiratory rate was high. And I didn't know this, hindsight, but those are all very classic symptoms of sepsis.
Mm-hmm.
She did not even run a CBC. So she had all the criteria for sepsis, but she didn't even run a basic blood test. The blood tests
Yeah.
that she did run were more for, dehydration or whatever. Um, so at that moment, I'm sitting there in Cooks, perplexed as to why she would tell us everything was normal and write in his chart everything was normal,
Yeah.
but it wasn't true.
Wow.
And so that was the moment that I had decided this is not okay. This should not be happening.
Oh,
We
exactly.
shouldn't. Yeah. And then to be billed, I don't know what it was, $10,000, $5,000, whatever it was, to be billed, um, only to be had lied to, um, was almost the ultimate betrayal. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, it goes back to them. What's it called? I mean, it's called cover your ass, but
Yeah.
people use the CYA, I
CY.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's what it is someone's incompetent there, and now the whole place is trying to cover up to protect themselves now. So
Yeah. And so,
I haven't been through anything because I don't have children again, but my mom got deathly sick, and I started noticing things, and I started documenting everything. She was in hospital for a month,
yeah.
and they the third day they told us to prepare for hospice on the third day, and I told him jokingly, I told him, says, "Hey, y'all don't know that old bat like we do, okay? And we'll see what God had to say about it too." And 2 days after they told us to prepare for hospice, she's standing by the bed, walking to the bathroom. And but other things just happened. By the time it was over, I had like 18, 19 pages of notes of stuff that was not right. Plus I had pictures I took. And like you, I went to, well, I don't know what you did, but I
Yeah.
went to one of the head people of that hospital, explain all this and gave him all the documents. And yeah, from there. But yeah, it's the same thing. They had things to turn around and want to blame other things and not take responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we we could not even really get a response out of the hospital.
Yeah.
So what I did was I took that information, and I started trying to figure out, where do we go from here? How do we walk through this process? In Texas, it's almost impossible to sue a hospital.
Yeah.
And but I think it's beyond gross negligence. And in my opinion, it's criminal to take someone's money, to lie to them, and send them home to die.
Yeah.
And so I decided enough is enough. I'm going to fight back. So I started with digging through federally and statewide what I could do to fight back. So started with HHS and filing an EMTALA violation, which is the failure to treat, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so I did that, and it took a they actually went out and did an unannounced audit, but I didn't learn that for almost a year because no one, and I felt, maybe I'm wrong, but felt like nobody wanted me to have those documents. I had to really fight to get those
Well,
violations in
I
my
could imagine.
hands.
So yes, I can imagine.
And so had to fight to get those documents in my hand. We also filed a complaint with the Texas Medical Board, which I've learned, in my opinion, are protecting licenses and not patients,
Hmm.
because they have a federal entity that says that in their HHS and CMS found that the hospital and the doctor violated standard of care, and the Texas Medical Board just kind of ignored that piece. And so we've been fighting that battle.
Mm-hmm.
We also still working through with the nursing board because the nurse, in my opinion, part of the thing is for them to advocate for patients. She knew all of these labs. She knew his
Exactly.
EKG, and she still dismissed us.
That's
Um,
yes, that definitely for the ones that don't understand or know, that's part of the nurse's job is to advocate for the patient. Okay. Not to yell and scream, doctor, you're wrong, but to show them stuff is not right and give them the opportunity. But that's part of their job is to advocate for that patient.
oh yeah. And so, going down that path, and then we decided to file a medical malpractice suit. In well, having that federal violation really helped, but we've recently learned that um, Methodist Hospital Network had received, I think it was 10 federal violations of the same nature in 2011. And it was almost like they're repeating their behavior.
Yeah.
But so this happened with Nicholas in December of 23. But in October of 23, a young man that was a little bit smaller than Nicholas, but he was 22, very, in my opinion, similar looking symptoms, they sent him home as well, and he died. So imagine burying your child because they needed antibiotics and the ER wouldn't give it to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And,
So
and so for us, this started to really look like a pattern. So we started fighting back a lot more, and I guess it was in August, we made the front page of the Dallas Morning News. The Star Telegram also has run our story. We've had several articles written about it, but our main goal here is we want change, transparency, and accountability. Um,
oh yeah.
yeah, for us, they stole from us. They've stole 2 years of our life so far, or a year and a half. We've paid a little over $1.5 million out of our own pockets for either different health care or whatever, lost weight. There's so many things that we've done,
Oh yeah.
and not to mention what our health insurance has paid. But they forever have changed my son. They robbed him of an innocence that he'll never get back.
Mm-hmm.
And he loves football. He's about 6'2" now and I don't know, 20. And he loves football and he wants to play, but because he had septic arthritis in his wrist and his hip, he may never be able to play long-term football.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not okay, because allowing these doctors in these hospitals to get away with this and take no accountability is it's so irrational to me that we would not let a restaurant get away with bad service, but yet we allow hospitals and physicians to.
Yeah, that is correct. Now, yeah, with mine, let me just be fair with the hospital. They did meet with me. I did give them all the stuff, and they did review stuff and sent me a letter that they were working on making changes. So I at least did get the letter. Whatever happens, I have no idea. But my
Yeah.
thing, like you at the time, it wasn't to go sue or anything. It was to make things better for the next person coming in, to be
Yeah.
treated better, treated right in the thing. And one thing I just couldn't understand is and I know nurses, I think the nurses ought to be paid more than the doctors. The doctor comes see you for 15 minutes and makes all the money, and the nurses are 8 hours, 12 hours with you, throughout the day. They know more about you than that doctor does. So I think they deserve more. But I can see where they're overwhelmed with how many patients they have they're looking after and everything. But one thing I kept noticing with my mom was every time they ask a question, it's something that's already on her chart. Instead of them reading the chart, it's easier. Let me ask this question.
Yeah.
And so they should be reading those charts before they come in with that patient. That's one big thing I noticed. They always asked, and it always the answer was in that chart. They're just not reading. So that's one big thing that perturbed me.
You
So
feel like you have to answer the same question over and over?
yeah, there's one
Yeah.
nurse will leave, and 10 minutes later, a different nurse comes in asking the same question they just left with, and you're answering again, and finally, I started saying, "It's in the chart. It's in the chart."
Right.
Because my mom, she's got dementia. She couldn't
Yeah.
answer it anyway, but I've already answered it 3 times, so it's in the chart. So,
And for us, suing was not our first option. Like that, the one, we ended up having to do it because it was very clear no one was going to take responsibility.
hmm
Because we even learned that in the federal violation that they notated that they did a peer review and that they found that she failed to diagnose.
yeah,
And I had to fight tooth and nail for almost a year to get that document. So we knew nothing was going to happen. And the other thing is we deserve as a family to be made whole of all the money that we've put out for their mistake. But
yes.
two, Nicholas deserves to make sure that when he's older and he's going to have surgery or his kidneys fail or whatever, um, that he is taken care of.
Well, yeah, he needs
And
long term.
oh yeah, there
Yeah,
will be
yeah.
something that
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Eh,
It's the only difference between this and a car accident is there's no car involved.
right.
Other than that, it's a bunch of neglect and shifting blame.
Oh yeah. And lastly, the reason that we decided to is apparently the only way they learn is by making them pay.
hmm Yeah, that's a
They
shame of the way things is the only way they're going to learn if it comes out of their pocket. Other than
yes.
that, yeah, that's sad that it comes to that instead of going, yeah, you're right. And people don't want to admit they're wrong, but in this case, yeah, you're right. Hey, we're going to do much better. Hey, the next 4 treatments, they're on us.
Yeah.
And but jokingly with mine, like I said, I think they did try to do the best they can to make, like I said, send a letter, things they're going to try to change stuff. But my mom went in the hospital the next time, the following year, and got the best service I could have asked for everything. And I told that administrator I met with, it was much better, really appreciate it. But I told my brother, I said, I guarantee you, they opened up that computer with my mom's name on it, and whistles and bells are flying everywhere. Do the best. The guy in the wheelchair, he's going to question everything. And they were, it's in the computer. Do not mess around with this one. I bet it's in there. and
That's the way we have to
it
be.
exactly, if it's the way it has to be to get the right service, then let's do it. Yeah, exactly. But I laughed at my brother. I said, I bet you they opened up bells and whistles are flying. Whoop, 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 watch out.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, it's sad to come to that. But you're absolutely correct. They just, it's sad. It's just sad.
it is. So one of the things that we're working on for the next legislative session are a mandatory sepsis protocol bill. and a bill that would notify parents in some capacity that these doctors, not all ER doctors, have extensive pediatric training. And whether that would have helped Nicholas's case or not, it would at least help hold some accountability to what they're not doing. I mean, they violated their own protocols, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And um, in going through, I've through this lawsuit. I mean, I feel like I've been corporate gaslighted or gaslit, and um, they had those violations the entire time and looked us dead in the face and said, "We don't know what you're talking about," and um, now it's just we're in the deposition phases, and it's literally hundreds of questions that really make no difference to the fact that the doctor chose to not be truthful, to not be honest, to not treat, and that we have to fight very hard for accountability, and it should not be this difficult.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. Yep, you're right about that. So, wow. So, other than everything going health wise, he's doing better.
Definitely on a much better path. We fly from Texas to Minnesota to the Mayo Clinic pretty regularly, just because he has now a heart issue,
Hmm.
kidney, liver issues, and he'll at some point have probably early onset arthritis. He has high blood pressure, so we have all these things, but they are going to be long term. So right now we're at this good, more manageable pace. He's able to live life. He has some cognitive and memory issues
Yeah,
post
yeah,
sepsis. But as a family, we're coming together, and Mayo Clinic has been amazing. I think that's the way healthcare was designed to be, how they have it there at the Mayo Clinic. Um, but yeah, we're definitely headed in a much better direction, and we are grateful every day that he's such a big boy, and that he's still here.
yeah. Um, so definitely he's got a new normal in life because of
Yeah,
all that going on. Yeah, and somehow there needs to be some reimbursement, hey, if you want to put it that way, on getting that back. I mean, like I said, it's not going to fix it, but to take care of it the rest of his life. So needs to be done. Yeah. So
yeah, and I mean, and obviously we're asking to be whole, but I mean, the mental health toll. I mean, he's had a mental health toll as well. I have personally, I have a business, and watching your child go through that, the sheer PTSD for me, which I never even thought would be a thing, um, has been a lot. I mean, I've had to do my own therapy and had to walk through a lot of that because,
oh yeah, again, it's Mama Bear taking care of baby
yeah,
bear, and being protective, and that's the way it should be. And so yeah, I can see where you're mentally exhausted and stuff like that as well. So you and your
yeah.
husband as well, but definitely Mama Bear, I can definitely see that. So it's the way mamas are; they're protected over their babies.
Oh,
So
yeah. And so, yeah, so dealing through that and how it affected my business, how it affected just how we live life. Um, the first time he got sick after with just a regular illness, your heart kind of goes into overdrive, and you get worried, And so those are things that they've just robbed from us, and we don't want to tap into anybody else. That is our whole
it,
thing is
that's
this should not be happening.
that was again my main purpose at the beginning. I mean, because my mom was like 80 years old when it took place, and so, but you're talking again, 11 years old with a life ahead of them. I mean, my job at that time was make things better for her, but let's make it better for the next people coming in.
Yeah.
Is the reason I spoke up like I did. So, all right. Well, good gracious, you wore me out with that story. I would
It's been
hate
a
to go.
lot.
I can imagine, and I would hate to go through that. Of course, my mom, she's like you. I got my neck broke when I was 19, so here she is doing everything to make sure I'm all right. Older brother, he was 17, 50% of his body burnt. She had to deal with that one. And
Oh,
then we lost today. It's been 15 years, something like that. 17 years ago, or her youngest son died
oh,
2 weeks before he turned 38. So our mama has been through a lot like you've been through. Not the same stuff, but mama's taking care of their babies, even though, we get older, mama's still there. So,
yeah,
I'm definitely glad that you an advocate for your son to be able to, and again, whether it's 80 years old and I'm advocating for her or 11 years old, whoever we love, they should have an advocate for them. And
oh
again,
yeah,
part of it again is uh, nurse responsibility to help question things. And again, not to yell and scream that the doctor's wrong, but if they notice something, go, "Are you sure this is correct?"
yeah.
And then double check it. So
Oh yeah. Well, and at some point um, there is an obligation to speak up and to mandate a reporter type stuff. Like they wouldn't want that happening to their kid.
but I do understand. I'm going to defend them just a little bit because they're worried about their job security. If I do this, will they fire me? So I do understand that. But again, right, right is right, wrong is wrong, and yeah, exactly. Go
Yeah.
back and look at it. Let's reverse this. Would you want me to do this to your child?
Well, and that's one
So
thing I've learned since speaking out and being public about it, because we do live in a smaller community, and um, I've had some people very, very upset with me and say some horrible things because I am speaking out. Because
uh,
the hospital is a big donor to the community, and
yep,
that doesn't make it okay.
exactly. Yeah, I can understand. There's yep, I understand that too. Doesn't make it right, but I do understand there's other people speaking up for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do understand that. So, all right, Risa, well, I appreciate you being here. I'm glad he's doing as good as he could be, and I pray things go a little better than y'all thought in the future
Yeah.
from there. So I appreciate you being here and sharing
Thank
your story and your journey. Going to tell people your any of your social media if anybody wants to share any of their war zone stories and maybe help each other out.
Yeah. So we have a website. It's Reese's Pieces. So it's ReasaSelph.com. And then we have a Facebook page. It's Fight for Nicholas. And the hashtag Justice for Nicholas is where you can find us for those things.
All right, awesome. And we'll put those in the show notes, make it a little easier for people to find. So
Thank you.
I appreciate again you coming in, showing up, showing and sharing your journey. I know sometimes this can be difficult. No matter if you spoke 5 times or 5,000 times, I can see it still could be a little difficult
Oh,
and
yeah.
sharing it. So, but appreciate you being open and again, I pray for the best for your family and for your little one. I forgot his name already, but
Nicholas.
Nicholas, and that health to be a little bit better or a lot better than what people are anticipating. So,
Yeah.
all right,
Thank you.
Risa, hey, we know people are hurting and struggling. If you can leave us with a positive message, that'd be a blessing.
Short and sweet is don't give up.
There we go. That's what I love. I used to have an 8-second one. Now we got a 2-second one. Don't give up. That's it. Yep. Keep persevering. One of the things I say in the South is, don't give up and, hang in there like a hair in a biscuit. I don't know if y'all speak like that in the South, but we do. And the other one, hang in like a loose tooth. So we'll go from there. All right, Risa,
Yeah.
thank you for being here again. Thank you for sharing. Everybody else, hey, share it with someone else that that can use a little help. Okay. And again, reach out to her, and maybe y'all can work something and share each other's stories, help each other from there. So I can see that you need to write a book about this now eventually and get that out, so it'll be easy for people to get your message as well. Everybody else, I'm Dr. James Purdue, the professor of perseverance. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week that's going to help you persevere past your paralysis.